Hey, Ashley here, back with episode 29 of the Maverick Mompreneur podcast. For today's episode, I have a little something special for you. It's actually a worksheet that's going to go along with the process I'm going to take you through for uncovering your true why. And you'll see why I say true why. And you're definitely going to want to do this activity along with me, or either listen to the podcast and then take some time, have a beverage, put on some music, and really walk yourself through this process. I promise you it's well worth your while. So go ahead, press pause. There's a link in the show notes, which should be, if there's 3 little dots, I believe, right below this episode. Expand that, and then that's where my show notes are that have all the links and contact info and all the things. So just click on that, download and print out the worksheet, and then actually do the activity. I know that my why was not what I thought it was, and my jaw dropped once I walked through this process. And even recording this episode, I found myself midway through tearing up because it was just so relevant and made so much sense. I can't wait for you to listen to this and then to do your own. And I would love if you would share what your why is with me. You can either do that in the Elevate Academy Facebook group, or you can shoot me an email, hello@elevatedwithashley.com, and let me know, was your why what you thought it was before going through this process? And if not, or if so, let me know what is your why when it comes to building and continuing to progress along in your online entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy. Today's episode is all about uncovering your true why for starting and continuing to grow an online business and personal brand. And this is something that I work with my one-on-one clients deeply on, returning back to their why and why it's so important for you to know this why. I wanted to make sure that if you are new to this podcast or you're new to my content, I do offer limited one-on-one coaching, limited spots that is, and those do tend to go very quickly. But I don't think I've mentioned on the pod very often that if you are looking to invest in a mentor and coach who can help you to elevate and automate your social selling business, or to automate social selling in general for affiliate products, while helping you to make the transition into truly being your own business and being the CEO version of you and stepping more fully into your power personally and professionally by your mindset, your energy, your habits, and also creating and launching your own profitable course and or coaching package. If so, I am definitely your gal, but I do work with my clients on everything from setting up their Pinterest account and creating sales funnels and marketing funnels through Pinterest, to starting or optimizing a website for affiliate product sales, content, lead generation, all the things, adding SEO to all the places so that they can actually be discovered by their ideal clients, and so much more. But I think the most valuable part of investing in a mentor is having the accountability and access to someone who is some steps ahead of you to be able to give you perspective and guidance and encouragement and, again, accountability. And that's what I'm here for. So if you have been looking for a mentor or coach to encourage you along your online entrepreneurial journey, and if my business model, my content resonates with you, then definitely send me an email. It's hello@elevatedwithashley.com. There's also a direct link in my show notes, and include the subject line coaching. You can put it in all capitals, lowercase, doesn't matter, but I will get back to you as soon as possible, and we can chat about your goals and how I may be able to help you along your journey. Again, the spots for one-on-one coaching do go fairly quickly. I basically have 2 clients per quarter. And so if they're not available now, we can always get you on the wait list for the next quarter. But do go ahead and drop me an email, hello@elevatedwithashley.com, and let's see if working together may be a fit. I wanted to read you a testimonial from one of my friends and one-on-one clients. Her name is Megan Vaughn. She's amazing. She is actually getting her life coaching certification right now, and I worked with her one-on-one. She went through my Influence, Impact, and Income Academy as well as Low Tech Launch, and then we worked together one-on-one when she was really ready to do the dang thing. And she says in this testimonial, "I just have to say that working with Ashley one-on-one as a coach has been one one of the best investments I could have ever made for myself. When I think about the tangibles of what I have accomplished since our time working together that I know for a fact I would not have completed without her guidance and accountability, it blows my mind. And she lists a few of those. Blog launched, opt-in freebie created, plus a 5-day follow-up email series, brand pillars finalized, business plan finalized, first info product outlined and planned through low tech launch. Instagram and Pinterest profiles optimized, and dipping my toe into TikTok as well. I started with her Influence, Impact, and Income Academy as the framework, and I knew I needed her coaching to get her expert feedback to get it launched and off the ground. If you've been thinking about investing in Ashley as your coach, I say go for it. Her background as an educator, plus her experience as an entrepreneur in today's online real world, means she knows what she's doing, but also how to show you how to do it and make it work for you. With the business plan I have in place, I'm confident I have direction, and I'm super excited to see what happens next. And Megan, I am always excited to see what happens with you next, and I'm so blessed to have been able to have the chance to work with you. All right, you guys, let's get into this episode. Hello. I am back in my closets, and we are going to talk about your why. And I know this is kind of a played out concept, but I promise this is a new and different take on it, one that was very enlightening and frankly kind of game changing for me. I asked a question in my free Facebook group, which is Elevate Academy. There's always a link to that in the show notes if you're not a member. If you are, shout out to you. I asked the question, or rather I posed the statement and asked for thoughts on the following. It's okay to have a selfish why. And the predominant response was that yes, absolutely, it's okay to have a selfish why. And everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I happen to agree with that. I think that a lot of times we feel like we're supposed to have this why that is for other people. It's for our family. It's for this and that. And those may be parts of it, but I think it's perfectly okay. And you'll see why. I think it's perfectly acceptable and even good to have a connection to self and to be honest with yourself about that, because we are human beings and we are driven by getting our needs met. And so if you have a selfish why, that's going to be motivating, and then you're going to achieve the impact and income and the success that you want to have. That's going to impact all of those other whys that may not be the core. Okay, so let me get into it because this is probably not making a whole lot of sense without context. So in general, a why, your why for starting and continuing to grow a business, to be an entrepreneur. Your why is what is going to literally drive you through the inevitable peaks and valleys, ups and downs of building a brand and business online. Ish ain't easy. And so you have to have something that is going to keep pushing you along. And knowing that can be very helpful to help you to move forward despite frustration, failure, which is inevitable, setbacks, super busy seasons, life changes, all the things. And Lord knows I've had my our share of experiences with those things. So I hope that if you have too, that this will be helpful to help you to keep moving despite. Knowing your driving why also makes it a lot easier to focus on tasks that are going to advance you towards that end, and also to say no to things that won't. And if you don't know what your why is underneath it all and you're not honest with yourself, it's going to be a lot harder. It's going to not feel flowy and aligned and easy. I promise this is a huge element of feeling ease in your business because we're intrinsically motivated by getting our needs met. And so if your why is a need of your own and it's selfish, hey, there you go. And maybe it's not selfish. Maybe I'm just a selfish why person. Have you ever heard that phrase, your why should make you cry? Yeah, me too. I thought it was super duper cheesy. I'm like, really? Your why makes you cry? Until I went through this exercise that I'm going to take you through after reading this book by Dean Graziosi called Millionaire Success Habits. I went through his process of something he did actually with his own coach, and now he guides his readers and his clients through it as well. And now I'm guiding you through it. It's called 7 Levels Deep. The whole why making you cry thing didn't make much sense. I didn't get that until I went through these 7 levels, and I got to the end and then I burst into tears, and it was just like this aha awareness moment moment and I haven't forgotten it since. And it's actually what a lot of people would say is a selfish why. But let me just tell you, in the last couple of years that I've had, it's literally no secret to me anymore that the reason why I've been able to do what I've done despite is really holding on to my why, my selfish why, but realizing that there's a difference between being selfish and loyal to yourself, right? If you are loyal to yourself, you are going to be your best self, and that is going to trickle into every interaction you have, virtual or in person. And so by means of having a selfish why and putting that in the forefront of your mind, you're actually going to be more impactful. You're going to be a better, if not the best version of yourself. And that's not selfish at all. So let me describe the method to you. And then if you have your worksheet printed out, you can either pause and do this along with me, or I'll walk you through it. And then once you're done with the episode, go ahead and take yourself through this. I would love if you would screenshot either this episode or screenshot working on your worksheet and tag me. I will reshare you. That would give me life to see you guys doing this, actually doing it, because I'm so excited to share this with you ladies. So basically what you're doing is going through a series of 7 questions, which are probing deeper and deeper, like the whole onion analogy. So going into the layers of the onion, into your why for answering the way that you do until you get to your core emotional, maybe selfish, I'm doing air quotes, motivations of your why. And so Dean Graziosi says he doesn't really know exactly why 7 questions does the trick, like why taking yourself through the 7 layers does, but that it's never ever failed with any of his clients to be the magic number. And I'm telling you, it was that way for me. I'm like, no way. And then by the 7th one, that's when I burst into tears. I'm going to walk you through the questions, and these are on your worksheet, and then my answers, and you'll see my process and how I went through this. Yours is obviously going to be different, but I was shocked at what came out at the end. So the overall question, and this is what you start with: why is it important to you to achieve your goals and prosper? That's the overall question that you're trying to get to. That is your why. So why is it important to you to achieve your goals and prosper? That is the why that we're wanting to answer. So question number 1, what is important to you about becoming successful? And at the time I answered this, my answer was to be more financially secure as a single mom. Okay, so the next question, probing further on that, why is it important for you to be more financially secure as a single mom? And my answer was, so I don't ever have to rely on any other person but myself financially. And here I'm thinking, as I'm going through this, I'm like, well, that's not my why, right? Okay, well, still got some more layers, thank goodness. So then I probe deeper using this framework. Well, why is it so important for you to be self-reliant, for you to not ever have to rely on any person but yourself financially? Why is that important? So do you see how I'm asking myself probing questions about my answers to really get down to it? And my answer for that one was, I want to be able to control keeping my daughter and I emotionally safe and healthy. That was my answer. And then I probed further because we have to go 7 layers deep. So question 4, level 4, why is it a priority for you to be emotionally safe and healthy? That's a good question. Why is that a priority? Why is that important? Is that why it's important for me to achieve my goals and prosper? I don't think I'm quite there, but that is. So in answer to my own question, I answered, and I'm literally reading you what I wrote on my paper. And so this is now, I probably did this about a year ago, actually almost to the day a year ago, now that I think of it, because this time last year I had just sold my old home and moved into an apartment for 2 weeks while I was waiting for the house that I'm currently living in to be completed. So I remember I was listening on Audible to that book, Millionaire Success Habits, while I was moving. So yeah, it must have been right around this time. Anyway, so back to level 4. So why is it a priority for you to be emotionally safe and healthy? And I answered, I lost myself at a point and I never want that to happen again or to feel that way again. So at this point I was thinking, okay, I'm answering my own questions honestly and vulnerably, and I'm really trying to go there, but what does this have to do with motivation to build a business and prosper? So then I asked myself another question about that. that answer. So why is it so important for you to not lose yourself, to be your true self? My answer to that fifth level was, well, I want my daughter, Taylor, to be able to be her true self and to grow up with me at my most healthy and most whole and to be an example of that. And then I further probed that, and we're getting to the deepest levels. We're getting to level 6 or question 6. I probed on my response about wanting my daughter to be able to be her true self and to grow up with me at my healthiest and most whole and to be an example to her. And I asked myself, well, specifically though, why is it important for you to be a healthy example to your daughter? And my answer to that, and I really had to think about this, I'm like, okay, why? Why is that important to me to be a healthy example to her and put it into words? And my answer was, it's a huge responsibility to be her example of living whole and true as a human and as a woman. And the impact of that, positive or negative, echoes for generations. It's not just her, it's her daughter or even son and their daughters and sons. It echoes for generations. And I want her to live free to be herself, her most authentic self, her healthiest self. And I need to model that. And so that's why it's important for me to be a healthy example, because it impacts her and it impacts generation. But then I had to ask myself, and this is the point where I'm like, this is the last level and I don't feel like I'm getting there. But I asked myself that last question, literally not even thinking that this was going to be it. But I asked myself, why is it important for you to be free to be yourself? Okay, so I mentioned I want her to live free, to be whole, true to herself, loyal to herself. Now, why is that important to be free to be yourself? And I swear to you, I'm getting chills. I'm literally getting chills and teary thinking about this. All of a sudden, it's not funny. I'm just trying to deflect from my emotion. All of a sudden, I felt like my subconscious or whatever it was about that seventh level, it just let it all hang out. The emotional reason for why I do what I do, despite setbacks, despite discouragement, despite dips in volume or income, despite loss, despite working through trauma, despite working through all kinds of things. And the literal answer that I wrote immediately to that question, and I honestly felt like slightly guilty at first writing it, but I went with it and continued thinking about it because it felt like a massive breakthrough and weight lifted. And what I wrote was happiness. My answer to why it's important for me to be free to be myself, for my daughter to be free to be herself, for you to be free to be yourself, was happiness. Wow. And why did I feel guilty about that? Why do I feel guilty? Why do we sometimes feel guilty for pursuing happiness? Not for expecting that to be the minute-to-minute, day-to-day standard, but for doing things and arranging our life in a way and being involved in relationships, churches, companies, businesses that are conducive to happiness and getting out of those that are not. Why do we feel guilty about that? So further, it flowed. And this, why is it important for you to be free to be yourself? To never allow myself to ever be in a position where pursuing happiness, my version of happiness, is not allowed or encouraged, or even worse, where it is put down and discouraged and squashed. And whether that's in a workplace, church, or even a relationship. If that means that I'm doing things differently, making maverick moves, experiencing rejection, loss of esteem by those who have a limited perspective, my happiness is freaking important to me, and your happiness should be important to you too. And I haven't been able to say that, or I hadn't, I should say, been able to say that without shame or consequence for a really long time. And so for me to say that truly the why for the overall question of why is it important for you to achieve your goals and prosper? Because the work that I do and achieving my goals and prospering makes me happy. It always has. I remember working 60, 70-hour weeks as a special education program administrator, and I felt giddy over doing more work by publishing and engaging other moms on Instagram and on my blog, Tailor Made Mama. I just absolutely loved what I was able to do both in my career and also within building a brand and a business online. That was a creative outlet for me, an emotional outlet. Even when I didn't make any money from it, it made me happy, and it still does make me happy, but now it supports me on the income that my brand now generates, which is a huge blessing, and I don't take that for granted at all, but it makes me happy, and it made me happy before it made me money. So yeah, happiness and finally being loyal to myself over any other human has led me to actually experiencing happiness. Not every day, not all the time, but happiness feels really good. And my energy, when I'm happy, when I'm in my best energy, and when I say happy, I don't necessarily mean like the sunshine and rainbows happiness, but just that no matter what's going on, the ability to freaking giggle about something silly, like happiness, satisfaction, all of those things. But beyond my own emotional well-being, in knowing for sure that me allowing, promoting, seeking, and setting myself up for and actually experiencing happiness, that has me serving others at increasingly higher levels and being unstoppable in my purpose. Because when I'm on fire, I can help light others on fire. And it's hard to be on fire when you're down in the dumps, right? We want to be that happy phoenix rising from the ashes with this energy that can bring other people up. And I know for me, if you've looked at like human design, I've recently gotten really into this whole human design thing. Anyway, I made generator, which apparently like 70% of the population are generators. So it ain't nothing that special, but understanding that as a generator, so for most of us, if we're generators, and I'm probably butchering this explanation, but we are energy generators. So us being in our best energy or at higher levels of elevated energy, and I don't mean hyperness, like too much coffee energy. I mean positive, good vibes, good energy. That is going to be infectious to those around you and those you serve. So if you're also a generator, then this is extremely important. And for me personally, that person is the example that I want to set for my daughter and then everyone in my sphere of influence. Seeking happiness, whether or not happiness in quotes is your why when you go through the 7 levels, and it probably won't be, but I guess this has become a sermon on seeking happiness does not make you selfish. Again, seeking happiness does not make you selfish. Feeling like you aren't deserving or worthy of or right or righteous for pursuing happiness in your life is limiting not only to yourself, but it's limiting to everyone around you, because you are not at your best if you do not allow yourself to experience and find happiness and satisfaction, even despite difficult circumstances. It is possible. But enough about my why. I want you to find yours. I challenge you to print out that worksheet, dig really deep, like get into a zone. I don't know if you want to take a bath beforehand or whatever is going to get you into like your have a half a glass of wine. I don't know what it's going to be, but be brutally transparent and honest with yourself and find your underlying why, that one that is going to make you unfreaking stoppable despite any obstacles or odds that come your way. You can actually start the 7 levels deep method to answer why for like any question, but I do think for this exercise, go ahead and use the one that I did, the why is it important for you to achieve your goals and prosper, and it's actually at the top of that worksheet, so that will be very obvious. It's like highlighted in pink. If you want to do this with maybe an accountability partner, or if you would like me to walk you through that, I'm happy to do a one-off session if I have space for it in my calendar and go through your why with you and have me ask you those probing additional questions and then talk about how does this apply now to your business? How can you align what you're doing as far as your schedule, your business model, all of those things? What are some things that may need to be tweaked so that you can really align your why with what it is that you're doing on the daily? So if that's something you're interested in, again, you can email me at hello@elevatedwithashley.com. ashleylatimore.com. You can send me a message through my website. There's a contact form. You can also, you could DM me, Ashley Latimer on Facebook or Ashley R. Latimer on Instagram. But if you're doing this worksheet on your own, please do. I'm telling you, that will give me so much life to see you doing this work and getting to your true deep why that is going to, I promise you, if you do this and you get that gut feeling on level 7, oh, it's good. Oh, sister, it's good. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you as always for your time, for listening to this podcast, for your support. It's kind of weird when you're in your closet and you're recording a podcast episode and I'm just like hoping that you love this. I'm hoping that it's impactful. So if it is, please do share in your stories, tag me. I will of course reshare you, but that is the most helpful thing that you can do to share this message and to share this podcast. And I am so appreciative of those of you who do that all the time. And it means so much. So anyway, cheers to your impact. I hope you have a great week and I will see you next Tuesday. Okay, bye.